During the presentation, we're going to open the forum up to questions. But of course, if you've got questions along the way, please don't wait until the end. Use the chat function the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen and type your question in as you think about it. But we'll actually go through the questions at the end of the presentation. We're also going to do a short quiz to consolidate your learning outcomes for CPD accreditation. And to receive CPD, you will need to attend the entire webinar. And now I'd like to introduce our two speakers today. So Toby Wong has 25+ years of experience in global financial markets and investment banking. He started his career at ABN AMRO, a Tier 1 capital banking group, and has held various senior management roles at different multinational financial institutions. Jessica Ramir has worked in financial markets for more than 15 years and is a very experienced broadcast journalist. Jessica previously worked at Saxo Bank, Bell Direct, and Sequoia Financial Group, and has held roles with Sky News, 7 Network, and 9 Network as a financial journalist. So, welcome to you both. I think we're in very good hands. And so, Toby, over to you. Thanks very much. And Gina, you might want to bring up the screen. Thanks. Toby, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about hi, everybody. Very appreciate that we have a chance to came on this webinar to share some thought on the current economic status quo with all these audience with in the industry. My name is Toby Wong. I'm the CEO of Futu Securities in Australia. And Futu basically is a AI-powered trading platform run on a very well technology cutting edge, provide the service to a wide audience of the investment field, including no matter you are the individual, semi-pro, or even pro investor. You can ride on our platform to participate to the performance of the US, AU, and also the Hong Kong stock market. Now, let us start to explore the information that we want to share today. And first of all, I just want to do a very, very brief introduction and revision on the investment activities. The first things we need to consider is the world of risk in the capital market. And then I think you guys are very familiar with that. And then on the slide itself, you see there's the dark side of the risk. They were hidden and they will come up every minute without you knowing or without your trace. So there's so many risks in the galaxy of risks. And there are, depends on the market condition and the situation, and then what sort of risks we have to really focus and take care of. And also that is the correlation with the investment opportunity that will be emerge. Now, for example, so first of all, we look at, there's a lot of definition of risk. It got to be very academic and complicated phrases you can, put on those. But however, I think for most of the general investor itself, and then the easier definition come to their mind is high risk equal to high return. If there's no risk, there will be no return. Okay, it's a linear scale. And however, I really suggest you bearing in mind the reality of the characteristic of risk, that risk is something cannot be totally eliminated. But risk is something that you can mitigate and control and make it to mitigate the risk level to a certain controllable condition. Now, just another reminder of the key element of enterprise risk management proposed by the Global Association of Risk Professionals. Basically, first of all, your firm and enterprise of a business, first of all, you have to define your objective and strategy of the business. That you need to formulate what is the risk appetite, where it is acceptable to your business environment. And next, then your organization will have to establish a control governance culture, and also, and then from your business process itself, you identify all the risks and then put appropriate internal control to monitor the risk. Nowadays, the advancement of technology do a lot of help on this. So you can put onto software a program, then we can help you to simulate and also filter all the data associated with the risk. And then they can help you to put into the form of some meaningful measurement and evaluation process of your risk profile. Lastly, regularly, don't forget, using the scenario testing and planning or stress testing, the so-called skill and program, to help you to more visualize and understand your risk profile on your current business condition. Now, what I want to do next is basically, of course, I'm in the industry for more than 25 years. And then one of the phenomenon I realize is when I look back to the 80s, the economic cycle is really can last to 5 to 10 years for one cycle. But if I look back to the 80s, the economic cycle is actually effectively shortened to 3 to 5 years. And then on the 90s, it becomes 2 to 3 years. And currently, recent year, I see the economic cycle itself can be shortened to even to 6 months or 8. So in the meantime, there is a lot of market chaos happening surrounding our economic situation. Now, if we look at what we can see from these slides, I try to summarize all the biggest financial crises in history. Now, why is I showing all this? Because you looking at this financial crisis, you can get a feeling of the length of the economic cycle they are shortened from decades to decades. And also, why I want to see this on the information provided here is basically, I want to tell you, if you look at before 2000, all financial crises, the causes of this, or the trigger of this financial crisis, is normally based on one or two factors, i.e. one of the two major risks. Is either credit chunk, overspending, or oil energy crisis, or war. But if you look at the current status, in the meantime, there is a loss of surrounding factors or risk they put together in creating today's the economic sentiment. And that's going to affect our trading strategies. Now, for all these events, I don't want to go through that in detail. But the thing is, you can easily search the information here and there, and you can understand, and you know the cause and effects and the of these market crash history, and they focus on these. Another focus on this slide. Actually, I want to put through the idea. So. There is financial crisis through the years, but we don't have to panic because it's economic cycle. When there is market crisis, that means in the future, there will be opportunity and market pickup, and then opportunity for investment and generate a very decent return. Now, as I mentioned before, the current status quo as our economic condition was a really, for what I see from the history, is nowadays it's very complicated. There's a lot of factor, chaos, changes surrounding the current economic condition, and then I'm trying to summarize that into three big categories. The first of all is the greater power strategic competition and geopolitical issue. And the second one is a big topic. It's all about climate change and possible pandemic or new diseases associated with it. And lastly, I think there's a new concurrent hottest topic, the talk of the town, is the advancement of technology. So-called, there's a in the past decade, there are a lot of fintech new rising star come forth to the market, and the change of the business process and the business, the way of new market, and also new opportunity for investment. And also we touch a bit on the crypto and digital currency, and also the most important one, which affecting us the most to now, in my opinion, also in the future, it's changing the lifestyle and the work skill set, is open AI and GPT. Now, for the greater power strategic competition itself, there is the major area we could summarize and look at. And first of all, is the geopolitical issue, and people start thinking whether democracy against the autocracy, which system is better? Is a free economy is better, or a planned economy is more efficient? That's derive the issues, and that would probably derive a reshuffle of the world economic order and pricing power. And currently, I think everybody aware there's a war in Ukraine, but what is the driving force behind the war? It's associated with the power struggle in the big country, and also space races. They're gonna create a new industry, which we look forward to the future life of human. And since the Donald Trump era, they starting off the trade war, and then it was putting through a very serious question of a problem of the production chain disruption, which slow down the world production capacity, and also inflation is another result of the trade war, and I'm sure you're all aware of that. Also, there's a big topic is about the globalization versus deglobalization. And then the deglobalization is actually induced by those world leaders who proposed and starting off globalization concept. It's a bit of ironic, but that is the reason behind the globalization or the deglobalization. Is also related to the geopolitical issue, and then the economic system, the political system as well. And then next we see a bit of the current world situation is now most of the countries facing an aging population problem, and then the pension fund itself have tremendous pressure in paying the elderly, and also the newborn rate itself affecting a lot of government decision because of the generation, the ratio between the young and the old people, the young supposed to take care of the old, is widened this gap. Okay, and also there's a situation where the wealth distribution of the world is polarizing. The gap between the poverty and the wealthy is keep enlarging. Now, even though the situation where the economy currently is not very good, there's a lot of uncertainty. However, you will see in the stock market, though luxury good producer or the big brand luxury market, their performance is even better. So we can see the wealth is actually, part of the wealth is shifting from the low class income or the middle class income, as more concentrate on the high level income people. But I want to remind you the reality here is derivative. It's not a natural come forth situation. It always can be driven by policy and how the world leader is planning or enforcing some sort of wealth distribution policy. Now, next, we see the other big topic, climate change. And then climate change is got a lot of effect. You will see that this is a world topic, you know, the G20 or the G7 or whatever world organization we talk about. Now, they know the effect and they know the detriment will be caused by the climate change effect. And associated with that, and I mean, obviously, will be food crisis, rising global temperature, and then each government, year by year, year on year, the government spending on healthcare to prepare for these is result of the global climate change is enlarging. And basically, they were back to 10 years ago, is around 5 to 6% of the GDP spent on the healthcare. But recent years, is already on average, it increased to 10 to 12% of the GDP. So if the government is spending on those and pushing forth the spending on those, that means the healthcare industry may be a good investment theme for you to look at in the medium to long-term places. Now, climate change also derive another big issue. Now, although it may not have a consensus, but the recent pandemic, a lot of the scientists and also the government policymaker, they associate the pandemic with the climate change as a result. Now, for example, a lot of the scientists, they are really worried about the North Pole and the South Pole, the ice are melting. And then what they are really worrying about is, you know, the bacteria embedding in the North Pole, when the ice starting to melt, they're gonna be released. And those are the bacteria from the ancient time that we don't have a knowledge on what they are. And then they could be another pandemic crisis spread over. Because we see on the COVID pandemic period, when we have that in the 2019, you know, basically we see all government, basically each country, the medical system is collapsed by the strike of the pandemic. We're not well prepared for those large scale disaster. Now, the third category I try to put together is basically about the technology advancement. Now, and then in the recent year, we see, you know, a new rising of so-called the cryptocurrency, and people betting whether the cryptocurrency itself will replace the traditional currency to be a new form of payment. And then there is a controversial topic discussion on those, because some big guys, they were really against crypto. Basically, they put on the old school thought, saying that crypto is actually, they don't carry the definition of a currency. You know, say like the stored value, a means of payment, and accountable for books and record and things like that. And they all believe that crypto is not an asset because it don't generate future income. It's the only possible viable mean at the moment for cryptocurrency. It's just for speculation. And then you buy a cryptocurrency, is hoping in one day somebody will buy it at a high price. And of those, and some media, they already allow cryptocurrency as a currency, a payment settlement method, but it's not popular. It's not viable in a scalable term at the moment. And then next, we look at very concerning UMA is about the data-driven world at the moment, and also the emerging of the computer, and now the technology moving is really in a faster pace. Is because the most hot topic we're talking about is the AI ability, artificial intelligence. it's also thank you to the technology advancement, they're able to produce some sort of powerful, very, very powerful computer chips, and also the generation of the supercomputer. Now, if we look at the all the chaotic and changes and come forward with the current environment, then we can by then generate some investment theme. I mean, the first example I try to give you is it's about climate change. According to a Swiss insurance company study in 2001, they estimate that global climate change is likely to reduce the global economic output by 11 to 40%. That is equivalent to 23 trillion annually by 2050. Then if you look at the current situation, is US and China is the two biggest country producing most greenhouse gas emission. Now, even in the EU, the EU, United Nations, I try to put out the cause and effect of climate change bring onto the relationship. And then what I meant is, if you see, even the United Nations, they're using the word which is more down to earth, because in the old day, they try to propagate, the idea of climate change to raise the awareness of the general public of this issue. But they found they need to do something more in layman and down to earth. That's why they are putting through this climate change cause and effect in a very ordinary terms and very colloquial terms. Okay, now the cause and effect, a lot of investors, a lot of people will mix up, what is causing the climate change and what will be the effect on the climate change. I hope you pay attention to that. Okay. Now, also another opportunity derived from climate change for long and mid and long-term investment, and will be renewable green energy, EV related industry and technology. And you can see how profitable in the first half of 2023, and the EV car makers, how profitable they are. But there is condition of these investment theme. There must be a strong economic environment and government policy support. Because why I'm saying that? Because if you go back to the previous slides, you see that the latest Fidelity ESG report, the survey, would tell you most of the business, they are under pressure to focus on immediate business result because of the economic situation, rather than committed over the long-term sustainability. They are not spending enough. Almost 60% of the surveyed analysts estimate their company promote ESG credential is not backed by their management action. And that is why the topic of the green washing is still I play through in the coming future and the future decades. Another investment theme I try to illustrate is the AI and GPT. Now, the advancement of technology will see the immediate effects. If you look back into the human history, so we've gone through the before the 17th century, we are on an agriculturalization economic situation. And since the Industrial Revolution, the invention of the steam machine and also how to use electricity, then we approach and we went to the industrialization, where we can significantly increase our production using machine. But since the invention of the computer in the 80s, then we are stepping into a new era. First of all, we're talking about the informalization. Then, around 2000, with the advancement of the on the computer equipment and the chips and the memory and the calculation speed, the algorithm, then we're moving on to the surface type intellectualization stage. And now with the real reason machine learning AI ability, where we are going into the future, what we call the autonomization era. So the impact on this is the new engine will drive through us to a new paradigm, because we can be achieving more efficiency and also the effectiveness in no matter in terms of the production or the business process. Now, and we can achieve more scalable, scalable business result, and also the AI itself. What is the GPT and the AI? The characteristic itself, you can see on the left-hand corner. They are more capable, and the information analytical ability will be more widened, and then more depth and easy to use. They use natural language. You don't even need to know the computer language. You can actually write a program, and and then it change. Everybody could be the owner of the data, instead of the old day. It will be the service provider who capture the data, i.e. you guys all own your own data, and then creating all these different type of work skill, and also also nowadays the decision making process, I would have to say that it had to be data driven. Instead of the old day, there is not enough information available to you, or you spend a lot of time to synchronize the information, to analyze the information. Okay, next please. If that is the situation, I can derive another opportunity for short, mid-term, and long-term investment. I think you can see in the past 6 to 12 months, which is the most well-performed stock, the FANG and the MT. They not even provide a promising future, but they also provide enough volatility for short-term trading as well. So that is for me for the time being, and then I would like to pass on to Jessica to continue the speech.
Hi everyone. Just a little reminder, my name is Jessica Amir. So it's great to be presenting with SIAA again, and thank you very much again to Judith Fox and the team at the body for inviting us on. So I just wanted to kick off with a little recap about our business. So who is Moomoo, and who is this name that's popped up in the Australian marketplace? Well, in case you didn't know, we are a tech business. And also, as Toby mentioned, he's the CEO of Futu Australia. And why is that significant? Well, Futu is majority owned by Tencent and was created by one of the 18 founders of Tencent. And what this means to Australians is that we basically invest in tech. So, of course, everyone knows Tencent, China's biggest listed company, and they're endorsed by NATO, and you can have a look at them on the NATO website. Something else that's really important to note, that Moomoo, it's not very widely known in Australia yet, but Moomoo is actually the #1 most used platform in Hong Kong. So #1 by retail traders. But we've only been in Australia for a year, but that's why we thought today might be a good opportunity just to touch base and let the industry know what exactly our platform is about. So let's just go through some of those best features now. So we can see on the screen one of our key features in the Australian market that is quite unique is that we do allow 24/5 trading. That basically means you can trade 160 stocks listed in the US pretty much 24 hours a day for 5 business days. And if we have a look at the next slide, one of our most preferred features by a lot of sophisticated investors is what's called institutional tracker. So as I mentioned, we had a lot of success and have a lot of success in Hong Kong, and we're also an up-and-coming player in the US as well. And a lot of feedback that we've received is the institutional tracker is quite unique. And what do I mean by that? Well, you can see some of the institutional buys, holds, and sells from the likes of Berkshire Hathaway, Cathie Wood's ARK Invest, and also the Soros Fund. So why is this significant? Well, you probably know a lot of retail clients, of course, they tend to get this information only after the likes of Berkshire Hathaway has reported and released their results to the public. But Moomoo's technology actually allows our investors to get access to Berkshire Hathaway's transactions, their buys, their increasing in positions, or their decrease, or if they've sold out 1 to 2 days after Berkshire's made that transaction. So that's, I believe, is quite unique. And if we have a look at the next slide, we can see one of our other unique selling points, I guess, for a lot of investors is our earnings hub. And it just simply is what it is. It just enables investors to keep an easy track of companies that are reporting in the US. This is our main, this is our biggest strength, I'd say. Companies listed in the US. So you can bookmark companies and then it just goes straight into your earnings calendar. And then as the company releases results, you'll see the results come through on your platform. And what is quite unique as well is everyone knows, of course, in the industry that a stock is based, a stock can be quite volatile in earnings season. Of course, we know that. But the unique thing about our platform is that we'll tell you if the result at a quick glance is a beat, if it's a miss, or if it's on par with expectations. And you'll see this at a quick glance on the earnings hub. Again, that's pretty unique to other platforms, which you know that I've worked at quite a few, including Saxo and Bill Direct. Another unique point on the earnings hub is that you can actually see at a quick glance companies' revenue, their earnings, and other various things, such as, for example, Tesla, how many EVs they sold, and how that's been trending up. So all of this you can see at a quick glance. Just staying on Tesla, the example, you can also see how many different EVs they're selling per model. And that's just another way that investors can dive into the detail that they want to see to determine who is growing market share. So that's something that I encourage you to consider as well. So if we go to the next slide, we can see another, I guess, pain point for a lot of retail clients. We all know in the industry is a lot of punters, a lot of retail traders just like to know, just give me some ideas. So Moomoo amalgamates that, and so we put the consensus there, but we'll actually detail out other brokers, buys, holds, and sells, their calls, and also their price target. Again, other platforms that I've worked for, don't want to name any names, but that is something that's not as transparent, but that's something that Moomoo does to the utmost detail. If we go to the next slide, we can also see something that is also a little bit unique as well. I mean, a lot of platforms have got wires. We have wires. So we have Dow Jones News wires, but something that is quite unique is you can get a Bloomberg feed on our platform. Again, this is quite unique to our platform, and you can also get up-to-date latest news from Bloomberg and also Bloomberg videos as well. If we go to the next slide, there is something that I did want to also point out. This is more relevant for clients who are kind of getting to know an industry. So, for example, the EV industry. We in the industry all know about who are the suppliers to the industry, as in who's supplying the batteries, who's winning market share in the battery space, who are the biggest lithium companies in the space, who's listed in the US, who's listed in Canada, Australia. Well, our platform pretty much amalgamates that and breaks it down so that a client or say one of your new colleagues who's new to the industry, so they can at a quick glance get to know an industry without necessarily reading a research paper on who the key companies are that make up a industry. And as we can see to the right, we detail it out to the finite detail, and we actually go through the companies in the key markets that you can see to the right. If we can go to the next slide, you can actually see that we go a little step further. So Toby mentioned the word AI. A lot of platforms are using AI now. Who isn't? But what is quite unique is that if you want to get a quick idea about a stock that isn't on your radar, or you want to find out about a theme that you might not be across, or you just want to quickly have a quick glance at something to maybe, strike up an idea for something to take to your investment committee, well, this is a quick way that you can do that. So we mentioned the institutional tracking down the bottom right, but also you can see on the top right of the slide, we have AI amalgamated TA, so technical analysis indicators. So at a quick glance, you can see what the technical indicators are telling you for a stock. So that is something just to keep on your radar as well. I know a lot of platforms do have that, but at a quick glance, I just think that this might give some people a cutting edge. And I think this goes without saying, that's probably why you've had a bit of penetration in Hong Kong. If we can go to the next slide. What I will say is this: when I signed up to work here at Moomoo, I was really excited to work for a tech company that's got a backbone of China's biggest company, Tencent. And so what that means to me is we've got tech at the forefront of our minds. Majority of our staff are involved in tech. And so why am I showing you pro-level tools when every man and his dog has got a charting platform on their platform? Well, what I will say to you is this. A lot of platforms now, or we know, are integrating trading, now integrating, say, Trading Central or Trading View onto their platforms. But with Moomoo, you can add as many indicators as you want, and it doesn't cost a cent. And it is quite easy and very fluid for anyone to kind of understand. Again, could be useful for new entrants into your business to kind of just have a quick glance at that as well. If we can go to the next slide. We all have in the industry, everyone's got a heat map, but this really dives right into the detail a little bit further. Just to give you a quick glance, again, you can zoom out and see where the most momentum is over a longer duration. And we know that most heat maps at most platforms typically only display a heat map on a day. So the duration is quite limited, but Moomoo Moomoo clients get to expand it out, so it can really help you dictate, where momentum is potentially going to go. If the market is moving with their feet into, say, insurance, for example, who are benefiting from higher insurance premiums. We know insurance costs are up, say, 16% year to date, so that's just something to consider. If we go to the next slide, this is just a little quick one. We are, like most platforms, have got a little kicker if you join. So we do have 15 free shares, and you're more than welcome to scan the QR code and check that out. But I believe we'll now be doing a quick quiz for CPD points, and any Q&A that you do have, any Qs that you do have, we'll be taking those shortly after. But thank you so much for your time. Now handing over to the ladies at SIAA to take us through the CPD quiz. And I think Toby wants to read the questions here.
And I hope you guys are ready. The first question is: risk can be effectively mitigated and potentially eliminate 100% through the vigorous implementation and execution of precautionary measure and robust internal control, and whether it's true or false.
Okay, just move on to the next question, and people will be answering as you go, Toby.
Okay. Now the second quiz is, which of the following are impacts of global climate change? First choice, rising global temperatures. Second choice, food shortage. Third, increased severity of storm and droughts. Fourth, reduced production capacity. Fifth, increased consumption of goods and services. Now there are four answers you can choose. First one is 1, 2, and 3. Second is 1, 3, and 4. And third is 4 and 5. The last one will be all of the above.
So we're going to give you another 30 seconds. Don't overthink it. Just place your answers, and pretty soon we'll bring up the responses, Toby.
Yep.
So we're down to next 20 seconds.
It's pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward indeed, absolutely. Okay, and I think, DM, if we could bring up the responses now, please.
So for the question, number one itself, we got 62% get it right. Oh, sorry. The answer is false. Because as I, in my presentation, I have emphasized, risk carrying characters where you can only mitigate the risk by implementing some precautionary measure or internal control and manage it down to a certain controllable level only. You cannot 100% eliminate the risk always. And that is the very true definition of risk. You can never 100% get rid of all the risk. If there is no risk, that means there is no return. And come to the second question, the correct answer will be A, should be A. And they are the impact. And 4 and 5, literally, they are not the impact, but the causes. So we got question 1, 38% got it right. And question 2, 14% of the audience get it right.
Well, it sounds like maybe we need to have a bit more of a think around risk. I think too on question 1, because it talked about potentially eliminating it, I think that's probably why some people thought it was true as opposed to 100% elimination. But you're right. I mean, even potential elimination is really out of grasp. Now, everyone, if you've got some questions, please do, and maybe Gina will stop having you share the screen and we'll just bring up the speakers again. If you've got questions, please do enter them in the Q&A. But I've actually got some questions. So, Toby, where do you think the biggest investment opportunities are right now? I mean, you've touched on AI, you've touched on health. Can you step us through where you see those biggest investment opportunities at the moment?
No, I will go through my own opinion only. Now, given the very tense country relationship at the moment, I think we all know the driven force of the market activities, and that basically rests in the hands of two countries, the state and China. Now, whether you will be arguing the political structure of the two major forces, and which is good or bad, on which will be the leading economic activities driver, and we all see that there's a whole lot of problem in these two countries currently happening. And for example, in the state, we all know it, they are heavily in national debt, and there's a tremendous inflation pressure. And also, people are questioning the effectiveness of the democracy system or the free economy, or whether they should be intervened. But we all see in the past 2 decades, China is really doing well. And then they're very effective. Whenever they put up the plan of the 5 years or 10 years economic plan, literally, they realize it. They realize the promise. They did it. But if you look to the Western world, they promise a lot, but it's just a talk. And what they really concern is about their position in the Senate, in the Parliament. And then the policy driven itself, you have to explain or convince yourself. Are they, the policy putting out is for the benefit of their own interests, or is for the benefit of the general public? That is remaining an open question. But anyhow, we see all these problems happening in these two countries. China also have their own a lot of the problem or issue. For example, in the meantime, the property market is a big problem, and then the collapse, not collapse. There's a big issue of the leading property developer, and they default on the debt already, and also. But in a planned economy itself, I would have said it's easier for them to save the situation by putting up those, no matter monetary policy or the fiscal policy. They work much better than the other side of the system. And I mean, literally, I think everybody agree the Western or the U.S. market in the meantime is overpriced, and the China economy or the related associate country, they were all underpriced. And then the which country is the biggest manufacturing capacity, and then you can tell. Of course, U.S. is still leading on the technology and the most advanced technologies. And then I think who's gonna win, it depends on two factors. One is the who is managing the latest, the most advanced technology, and secondly is the who is having the most competent manufacturing and production capacity. Now, if you talk about the production capacity itself, obviously it's China, and U.S. Or the other Western world, they try to taking back and the production factory and the capacity back to their own country, but the economic condition and the wages and the other consideration, like the environmental consideration, is actually make them very expensive to do that. And that's it. And then the next condition is who handling and mastering the latest technology. And first, I mean, no doubt is U.S. is leading, but China is catching up in a tremendous speed.
Thank you. And Jessica, did you have any sort of comments on where you think the biggest investment opportunities are right now?
Well, I'd say just further and in addition, and to complement what Toby said, I do think, and I've been saying it in the media for a little while, so apologies if someone's seen some of my work on LinkedIn and me putting interviews that we've done on TV on LinkedIn. But what I will say is I think the biggest opportunity for our generation and the next generation is in AI chips. So at this present stage, we know that the majority of AI chips, so very close to 100% of chips that are currently used, including AI chips, that is, they're actually used, sorry, I'll say that again, the majority of AI chips, or almost 100% of AI chips, are used in data centers. And then so we need to think about in 10 years' time, how will AI chips be used and where will demand come from? So it's probably going to be in our everyday items, so our mobile phones, our PCs, etc. So I think AI chips is going to be one of the biggest opportunities for the generation or for the next generation. As we stand now, the CAGR, the forward-looking compound annual growth rate, it's at 30%. So, and what I mean by the forward-looking CAGR, that's based on expectations for spending. And so there's likely to be a 900% increase in spending on AI chips from now till 2026. So that's quite a a ridiculous number, but it kind of illustrates, number one, why I think one of the biggest opportunities is in AI chips. The second of all, and I will say there's a lot of depressed valuations in the EV or the green switch theme. So that's probably the second most compelling investment opportunity in my eyes. And I think that in Australia, we've kind of turned a blind eye to the green switch, and that's because we don't yet have federal government push to go towards the green transformation. I mean, it's only the ACT. We've got to remember the ACT is the only place in Australia that really has kind of a mandate to push or a subsidy to getting an EV. So New South Wales, we don't have any subsidies. So why am I talking about subsidies? Well, we all know where macroeconomic funds go, investment flows. So we do have lithium companies that are depressed at the moment. Battery makers are depressed at the moment, and we are seeing a pullback in EV names. So there's three components or three sectors that are looking quite compelling for the next, I'd say, decade as well. So that's probably the second most compelling investment thing that I see. So the green switch. And also, sorry, just a counter argument as well. I know some of the Insto guys will probably be saying, well, what about solid state batteries? So I actually did a research paper on why the demand for lithium will probably continue to increase. And just a reminder, I mean, you guys probably already know, but solid state batteries actually do, of course, require lithium. We all know that. But just as a reminder, it's actually a 30% more demand for a solid state battery than a lithium ion battery. And so we know Tesla and Ford are already using solid state batteries. But again, this just is another supporting factor for why I'm saying one of the biggest investment opportunities is in the green switch theme. Sorry, long answer, Judith.
No, it was great because Toby gave us the macroeconomic sort of, picture, and then you drill down, and you're quite right.
And as a compliment to Jessica, yeah. I would have said is technology and a new form of energy, new green renewable energy. But please don't neglect the potential of healthcare and education. Now, because of the technology advancement itself, that will be changing the lifestyle and the working methodology for most industry, automation of business process, and now we call it hyper automation. If you look at those logistic company who is most profitable, is they will be able to use most robotic and also the AI logistic arrangement. So they are very promising. Who handling mastering this will having a very promising future in the next decade. But bearing in mind, there are also a risk associated with the technology, because you never know, maybe next year they will come up with a new technology to replace the AI chips. Yes, it is happening. At the moment, it's talking about the AI chips, have electronic circuits, right? But in the future, I truly believe that the next generation will be optical chips. So when something changes, some new rising star and some having a most market share business, it will be vanished in 2 weeks' time. So there is also opportunity and risk. Okay.
Yeah, and you're right, and it's the same with EVs, because without policy changes, that's going to sort of stall. Like, there's only 3,000 charging stations across the whole of Australia at the moment. So we're seeing EV car sales go up, but people want to have certainty about charging. Now, I'm just conscious we've got 6 minutes to go. I do have one last question, so we'll keep our answers short on this one. Advisors are increasingly using ETFs in client portfolios. Toby, what trends are you observing?
This is happening in our client activities as well. Now, because of the volatility in place at the moment and the current economic condition, and then a a lot of our clients, instead of picking up do stock pick on a sector, they really go for the FANG sector. And then also there's a lot of ETF available on the market. They are leverage type from 1.5 to 3 times. For them to, I wouldn't say it's a speculation entirely, but actually it is really, really very welcome and popular and suitable for short-term volatility trading.
Yeah, okay. And I don't see any other questions coming through. So really, I think at this point, given we've only got a couple of minutes to go, I'm going to close. But I do want to thank both Toby Wong and Jessica Amir on behalf of Stockbrokers and Investment Advisors Association. That was a very well-researched presentation, and I love the way you went from sort of really big picture and then drilled down. And thank you both for that. Now, to everyone watching, I just want to sort of quickly say we're going to follow up with a link to the recording and the presentation, and you're going to get an email confirming your SEER accredited CPD. And when you leave, you'll see there's an opportunity to complete an evaluation form. And really, please do give us your feedback. We use it to develop this webinar program. We really do value your feedback. But any final comments from Toby or Jessica before I close?
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure.
And I encourage all of you guys, to download our trading platform to have a try. And then there's a lot of unique function that you might be interested.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as you said, for new colleagues in the business, Jessica, and for your retail clients as well. So Toby, Jessica, thank you both very much. To everyone else, have a great afternoon and thanks. Bye now.
Bye.